Okay, yes, we are here. It is Monday morning. We made it. You made it. Hooray! Félicitations, as the French would say.
Felicitations.
Felicitations, as people who have never read a book might say. All right, Leigh-Ann Moll's here with me, and we are ready to take you through your Monday morning. Get your day to a good start on the Real Network, on the Gareth Cliff Show. Hello, how's it? How's it? All right, so how was your weekend?
Sure. I'm still recovering.
What?
No, it wasn't
Exciting?
a biggie. No, not a biggie, just a lot of work. So my brother's overseas, and he's the efficient one.
Okay.
Out of the two of us.
What do you two? Are you like one organism, and one of you is efficient and the other one isn't?
He could survive on his own.
Because you do different jobs.
Yes.
You don't work together.
No.
Okay, so when he's overseas, how does that affect your work?
Not my work. It affects everything else in my life. My banking, my waking up, my normal functioning.
Basically, you need him around to be like your accelerator or brake.
Yes.
Okay, so you have...
It's not a symbiotic relationship.
In 40-something years, you've never worked out how to do all these things yourself.
No, and I had to this weekend. I had to plan a birthday party, cater for everyone, look after everyone in the house, count heads, cook.
So hard.
Oh, it was
That's a lot of work. No, this is why mums deserve special holidays. I think it's Mother's Day this Sunday.
Yes, it is.
Because
12th,
this is what they have to do.
Yet.
To plan this shit, they have to look after everybody, make sure everyone's there, make sure everyone's not dead, and make sure that they don't kill each other.
No one's drowning in the swimming pool.
Horrific.
The dogs aren't fighting.
Yeah.
The braai is timed for the salad. Oh.
Let me tell you. So you were busy, you were entertaining people.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's also hard.
And keeping them alive with food and sustenance.
Yeah. People eat a lot. I noticed this was probably about 4 weeks ago. I had some people over to my house and I ordered food because I didn't want to cook.
Mm.
First of all, it was expensive as hell.
Yeah.
And I know we're all complaining about that, so that's not new. How expensive things are is just like on my mind a lot lately. And then you see how much there is.
Mm.
You always think, I didn't order enough, but you did. It's just, you're always concerned, like my biggest fear is running out, right?
Yeah.
And then you realize like some of these people, they eat.
Yeah.
They're very hungry.
Yeah. Like at the trough. Yes. At the trough.
They're at the trough.
But the worst is going on holiday, on a week-long family holiday.
Yeah.
You walk in with all those heavy bags and cooler boxes of food.
Yes.
And you know that weight is going into your stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot.
Because when you come out, you don't leave with any of that shit.
So, all right, there we go. I mean, you've had to learn about the consumption of food and quantities.
Everything. I had to check if my car had petrol.
Oh, how irritating that you've only discovered all of this now. Well, I had an uneventful but very lovely weekend compared to last weekend, which was just maniac.
Yes, you were so busy.
Yeah, it's much better. So I've actually just managed to catch up on some sleep and some lying around and being lazy, which is, I think, is very important. Like people underestimate the value of being a lazy slob at least once a month.
It shouldn't be called lazy time. It should be called something like gold star time.
Yeah, you just got to rebrand it. That's what we've got to do. I did watch the most amazing documentary. It's about Notre Dame Cathedral. And, obviously it burnt in 2019 and huge damage to the roof and the vaulting and the interior. And it was very, very dangerous what was going on there because it could have brought the whole place down. And luckily it didn't. And they've managed in record time because they said it would be ready by 2024. So they've brought out all these documentaries now which show you how much work has gone into it. I mean, the detail, the level of craftsmanship and expertise involved in this is just mind-boggling. This is where I get proud of the human race. I often think we're just so useless at so many things, and we haven't really, the last 20 to 30 years, it almost feels like we've stalled a little bit with everything except the internet and mobile phones. But most other stuff has just stayed where it is or gone backwards, right? And then you see
you
this.
think about flight and airplanes.
We haven't really gone much.
When has the Boeing changed?
Yeah, I mean, like, come on, guys. Where are those hoverboards you promised us?
Yeah.
You know? But watching this show, just seeing these incredible people, like stonemasons fixing, first of all, finding the right limestone. There's some chick at a microscope, and she's like, no, this is the kind of limestone. It has these little fossils in.
Mhm.
We only can find this limestone here. Then they go and they find the limestone that she's talking about. Exactly
Wow.
in the quarry that they would have used, I don't know, 850 years ago.
So much care.
So much care. And then they've got a woman who's like the stained glass expert, and she's trying to figure out, you know, whether it's the new glass from the 1800s or the old glass from the 1300s.
Wow.
And it's incredible what they managed to do. And then they've got to find lead for the roof. So they have to stretch out these sheets of lead on sand. They pour the molten lead out of a tray perfectly onto these, you know, very, very flat pieces of sand. And then they roll it up like you'd roll up a carpet, and they put it on the roof like tiles. It is mind-boggling what these guys are able to do. And, you know, Emmanuel Macron, I think it was him, said in 2019, we're going to fix this. This will be ready for the Paris Olympics. And it looks like they're on track to have the whole thing ready to go. The most famous church in France, probably. Yeah, and it's good to go. It's just, I mean, like that, it restores all my faith in people. And obviously certain people, because there's not a lot of people who can do all that stuff. But wow. Not to mention, obviously, the people when it all happened, the firefighters.
Yeah, of course.
Just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
That level of organization is amazing.
I was so blown away. It was excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely excellent.
I think my pinnacle during my braai and everything yesterday, organizing all of that, was when my mom said to me, you know, I've thought of the perfect description for you.
Uh-oh.
I found the perfect word for you.
What was
to
it?
describe you, she said with pride in her eyes.
Uh-huh.
Efficient.
Oh, well, that's good.
I don't know. It rhymes with sufficient. It wasn't really that good.
I think that's quite okay. I'd be happy to be called efficient.
I'd rather be putting together a cathedral from scratch.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's not for everyone, you know, and we've got to realize our limitations. You and I aren't building any cathedrals this morning.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so a couple of things that we've got to get to in the news this morning. Oh, whoa. There we go. You've got to kill that first. Okay, so first things first in the news. And by the way, you can drop us your comments. Let us know what's going on here. I see Tracy says that it's archaeology in reverse. Yeah, that's the building of Notre Dame. That's exactly what it is. Can that whole construction company get busy with Parliament next? Well, I thought about that. I was like, well, Parliament burnt in Cape Town. Why can't they get that fixed?
They can't even fix potholes.
Okay, good point.
Yeah, okay.
Mapello says, thanks for suggesting The Gentleman. I watched it in 2 nights, Friday and Saturday. What a show. Not even a single dull moment.
Oh, it's on my list.
It's awesome. You will not be sorry. Barefoot Blanche says, I visited Paris in March and they were still busy restoring. They have the whole process displayed on the boards covering the construction site. Very interesting. Yeah, it's next level stuff. All right, but let's go to your old hood.
Oh, my goodness me.
In the South. Okay,
the South.
We have said a lot of mean things about the South of Joburg. Okay, it's a different world.
Yeah.
For people who are not from Joburg, really, you guys don't know. Like the difference between the north of Joburg, the south of Joburg, the east, and the west Rand is huge. And anyone in Joburg knows. Like, if they ask you, they're like, oh, you're from the East Rand. Okay.
Yeah.
They've got a whole bunch of ideas in their head of what that means.
You can classify people. You can figure stuff out.
100%.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Oh, well, can I start off with firstly a bit of a sad story?
Okay, go.
Just to reintroduce, because I have to get it out the way, and we're talking about Glen Vista. It was my old high school.
Leigh-Ann was at Glen Vista.
Glen Vista.
Right.
Okay, so my best friend throughout high school, there were about 6 of us who were in our little gang.
You were bullies.
Yeah, we were pretty much bullies.
They were horrible people.
We were the hot girls.
Yeah. Now,
Anyway.
how many of you are still the hot girls?
Well, here's the thing, and you'll regret saying that. Okay, so what happened is my bestie, we all went to varsity together. We went to Rao.
Okay. After the South.
We drove together to varsity every day. This friend of mine married her high school sweetheart.
Beautiful.
He was first team rugby, first team cricket, captain, etc. And I found out on Facebook, which is my absolute worst. I have to go onto Facebook for work, and I sign in as myself, and so I see my personal feed first.
Otherwise, you wouldn't go to Facebook.
No, not at all.
Because you're over it.
No, completely.
Okay. Right.
And what pops up? This best friend of mine has died.
Oh, she's dead.
She died in a freak car accident.
Oh.
But 2 months prior, her son, who was in, I think, 10th grade, passed away on the rugby field in a freak rugby accident.
That poor husband. Is he the only one left?
And daughter.
And there's a daughter. Oh, that's horrific.
Imagine losing your brother and then your mom. But also for this mom to have suffered, and it's all over the newspapers, for this mom to have suffered the death of her son for 2 months and then have died in an absolute freak car accident.
That's horrible.
It just sat with me. And there's another girl from the group who died a decade ago or even more, from malaria. And you kind of look at your group of friends and you think, I'm one of the ones left. How lucky am I?
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially to make it out of Glen Vista in the first place.
Well, this is the thing. All right. Okay, so now we're talking about Glen Vista.
JP says, Leigh-Ann, same. Our school has been in the news 3 or 4 times, all for the wrong reasons.
Yes. Okay. Glen Vista has been, in 2013, there was a massive fight between a teacher and a pupil.
Oh.
And before that, the school didn't want to write an exam. We used to write our big exams in the hall. And so they set the velvet stage curtains alight.
Oh, nice.
In fact, where I used to sit and play the piano, the Lord's Prayer for the school, it was up in flames, man.
This is a rough school, okay?
Well, it never used to be. It used to be kind of the rich people of the South. Okay, you had your Forest Hill, your Mondy Hall high school. You had your, but Glen Vista was like the rich civil people.
In the South though.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed is king. It was like that. It also schooled people from Walkerville and the farming areas.
Okay.
So it was quite civil and conservative.
Okay. All right.
But no, wow.
So what's happened? What's happened?
It's become Mondy Hall-ized, because if you look at what happened at Mondy Hall High is when I was at school is pupils and teachers would get into fights with each other.
But like fist fights?
Throwing furniture.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I remember the guy
I thought I went to a bad school. I've got nothing on you.
The guy I was dating.
Yeah.
Actually walked into a classroom once and stabbed someone in the head.
Oh my God.
This is how it worked. This is how it went down.
This is the kind of guy you dated.
You're talking like East Side, West Side gangs.
This is, you see what we say about the South is true. Okay, carry on.
Okay, so nothing to laugh at, but
it is. I think it's hilarious.
There has been another fight which has gone viral.
God. Oh, so they filmed it and now it's on the internet.
One of the pupils filmed it. The entire classroom was involved in egging on this pupil. This pupil eventually chased this teacher out of the classroom and had a broom and was beating him with the broom and throwing the broom at him.
Hang on a second. How big is the child in question?
Shorter,
like some Lord of the Rings, some freak.
No, he's shorter than the teacher.
No, shorter than the teacher.
Yes, he looks like a small school kid.
How feeble is the teacher?
Well, the thing is, you can't fight back as a teacher. You've literally got to walk away.
Nonsense. You can surely just pull out your gun and shoot the kid in the head. Isn't that how it works? That's why I didn't become a teacher. I just remembered. Not allowed to shoot the kid in the head when he comes at you with a broom.
Apparently they fear.
That's the problem.
They're fearing for their lives, these teachers.
Time for guns. Tell you what, these kids will fucking get in their place right chop.
So there is a video. I don't know if you've seen it.
Get the fuck down.
No, motherfuckers.
The teacher, the kid gets up. He's like, hey, teacher, I'm coming for you. Get the fuck down.
Yeah.
That kid will stop his shit straight away. Go back to his parents. Mom, Dad, the teacher pulled a gun on me. What did you do, though?
Yeah.
You know?
When I went to my mom and said I'd been, because there was corporal punishment in my day.
It beat you with a broomstick.
And I said I'd got jacks, or lashings.
Let me tell you,
she
these
said
kids.
yes.
We discussed this last week on one of the shows. These kids they crave a beating. They are I'm not a parent, but let me tell you something. I'll make up for all you parents. Just sign your whatever it is, authority over to me. Yes. I'll have teams of people just beating your children back into submission, little shits. Go after a teacher with a broom.
No, it's so bad.
If I was that teacher, I'd come back to school the next day with medieval weapons.
What are they going to do to their bosses when they're working?
Cudgels and maces. I'd smash their desks and say, you little fucks, I'm going to teach you some lessons. The hell do you think you are? So let's see the video, maybe before I react.
Wow.
Here's the video. Play the fart, eh? Play the fart, James.
Play the fart for us.
Let's check the fart. When we used to have fights at school, we'd all go down to the field and watch.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the class was egging on.
Oh, God. No, we can't play it.
Oh, YouTube won't like us.
Oh, but I was so keen to watch our farts.
Yeah, I sent it, and I said at the time, I don't know if we can play it, and do we want to make it more viral? But no, the kids were like, get him, boo, get him.
Did it remind you of your days at school?
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have gone to such lengths, but it reminded me of like a guy-on-guy fight.
So when we used to have fights at school, it was always like two guys had beef with each other. It didn't just break out. It would be there'd be a build-up.
Yeah.
It'd be like, Sean wants to fuck up this spoo. And then
hold my watch.
Yeah,
hold my watch.
Off my watch. And then if it was chicks, it was my earrings. But there were hardly ever girl fights. Girl fights would sometimes be some girl who'd slap another girl, and the other girl would be so horrified that would be the end of the fight.
Not like when I knocked someone out cold.
Yeah, but you're from the South. You're from the South. So I just find all of this so atrocious.
So to give you the picture, it started with in the classroom. To me, it actually looks like one of the prefabs that we had. Wow. You get your built classrooms, and then you have a prefab.
The place has gone down, Leigh-Ann. It's really. Since you were there, it's really gone to hell.
Since I've been gone.
Yeah.
It looks like that something starts inside. The kid gets up, and he's quite a rotund teacher.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, maybe tall. A bit of a beating is good for him then.
Why did I even say that? Why? And it ends up with him heading to the door, and the kid on his way out grabs a broom. This teacher carries on walking. They're now in open daylight.
Yeah.
And he carries on walking and walking and walking. And this kid is throwing like a spear.
Oh, my God.
This broom at him. And the kids in the background are going, get him, Boot, get him.
Wow. I'm just horrified. Like, really.
Yeah.
But you know what kind of adults those are going to be one day, those kids?
What are they going to say to their bosses?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to just take them out now. You see these, really, this is like when you put down a rabid dog. Just take
when someone can't be rehabilitated.
These kids must be taken to the vet and put down. Honestly, I cannot think of a way that they can be integrated into society meaningfully. I saw a horrible clip 2 weeks ago of these dudes, these teenage guys in America, and they start punching this girl. And I'm like, this is the opposite of what's happening in civilization. Like, civilization's meant to be the weaker and more vulnerable you are, the more protected you will be. There will be a strong guy somewhere who says, no, you're not allowed to do that to women, and sorts out those badly behaved kids. Now, it's like we've got the opposite situation here. So I really think we need guys to be empowered to go out there and just, these are the dregs of society. These are the the lowest hanging fruit. These are the worst kind of people. No one wants them. Their parents are probably afraid of them. The other kids in the school are afraid of them. The teachers clearly are afraid of them. Like, these are not people we need. I don't see a place in society where we're going to go, oh, I'm glad we got those guys. So I think really we should have a program, go around and you're like, you to the vet.
Yeah, they need to almost be Dr. Fullerized. That's how bad they are, that they would end up on national television.
Yeah, we shouldn't give them attention, though. And the worst thing that could happen is that they go viral for this, because then it'll encourage them to do it again.
That's why I almost didn't want to play the video.
We don't have to play it anyway. But I just think, Daryl says the kid needs to go straight to jail. Fucking waste of time. I couldn't agree more. And I feel for this teacher, because they aren't allowed to do anything.
No.
And that's ridiculous too. Like, teachers should be able to, at very least, like, have the same rights as everyone else. Defend yourself. I'm telling you, like, he should be able to pull out a baseball bat and go and just smash the soak. Because there is no way that you should be able to throw a broomstick or beat a teacher with a broomstick. I mean, it's like outrageous. In my day, that would never have happened. We wouldn't even had the thought to make it. We had fantasies of beating our teachers, but you'd never actually make it happen. We had after school, says Sanele. I don't know why they had to say it twice. Man, that shit was like WrestleMania. It would build up all day and then the fight erupts in a circling crowd. Yeah, that sounds about right. I say no to guns, says Judas, but at least giving teachers a taser for self-defense. It's going to happen, seeing as it's getting out of hand. Need more security in schools and metal detectors too. Yeah, school was never unsafe.
Well, now you need a broom detector.
Yeah, but school was never unsafe.
Never.
If you remember, there would occasionally be fights and things, and it was. You could, during break, there was no one watching, no cameras around or anything.
No,
and people would push each other down the embankments, or like they'd have a little fracas.
Put spiders on girls' heads.
Yeah, but completely non-dangerous. It wasn't like, oh wow, this is going to be the end of us.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. This is just dystopian. I really don't think that these kids have any hope. They've got to go. They have to go. Just got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you institutionalize them, not that they already aren't, but then they get worse.
But do you believe, because this makes me think often of, like, there's some people who are just beyond rehab. And if you start at an early age, it's like if you torment animals at an early age, like if you're a 4 or 6 year old and you like torture a cat.
Yeah, there's certain levels, but how do you
pull the feathers out of a bird?
How do you draw those lines?
Those people must be taken out. How do you draw those lines? If they're hurting the animal at age 4, or if they're beating the other kids at school, or like, then that's you get one chance.
I don't know. I mean, I got into fights with girls at school. As I mentioned, I punched a girl in the face to the point of losing consciousness.
I would have taken you out.
But look how I am now. I wouldn't harm a fly.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, you had a lot of rehab. You spent a lot of time getting yourself right. You were a big problem.
No, I was not.
You
never.
were. You were a big problem. When I met you, you were still quite violent.
Just self-defense.
Okay, then the problem is Glen Vista.
No, not even that.
Yes.
It was actually I was dating the big honcho at Monday Hall High. So
that's exactly my problem. And you were bad for each other. Both of you should have come to the vet. I had to take it. I would have got someone to drive you there. in an open bucky. We wouldn't even have taken you off the bucky. We would have done what they did in Afghanistan. Just boom, boom. And then just driven you to the funeral parlor.
I thought you were going to at least say at the top of a double-decker bus. But
no, God, no. You could have jumped off and throttled someone to death. You were very violent people, you Glen Vista people. Sweet Lord Jesus. 100%, Gareth. Men need to start being men again. Society makes it so hard due to backlash when we do. Sad state of affairs. Society's become so weak. The morons are protected over the good. You know what? Ross, you're correct. Shawnee says, there's such an important topic. There are countless young children who've killed their siblings. Oh, my God.
Yes. Oh,
Really?
yeah.
Yes, yes. Something we need to pay attention to. The signs are there, but not enough teaching for adults to take notice and see what to do. I went to the Hill High, says Carl.
Oh, the hill. Forgot about the hill. My dad went there.
The Hill. Glen Vista was so soft.
Yes.
But the chicks were hot. But
oh, yeah. No,
so
we were
the Hill's
tidy.
much worse. The Hill.
We were tidy, Bruce.
The Hill. Not any particular, just the hill. Is there only one hill in?
No, there are actually more hills in the south of Joburg than there are anywhere else. They're full on mountains and game reserves. It's actually quite beautiful. But this was the hill. And it wasn't on a hill, really.
Wow. Okay. Leanne's pronunciation of Mondi Ho, is making my head spin. Guys, please, says Hermine. I'm from Hoërskool Klerksdorp.
Dis lekker.
That sounds rough as well.
Dis vreeslik lekker.
Let's get to James. You did go to school, hey?
I did go to school.
Oh, really?
You went to school?
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
Okay, where did you go to school?
I went to school, St. Cecilia's College.
So you were at Saints. Okay. Yeah, you didn't behave like these filthy people from Glen Vista.
I hope not. I was like the weird drama kid at school, so.
Oh, were you like the Glee kid?
No. I can't sing if
I would
that's
have
your
beaten
question.
you out.
Yeah, you would have lasted 2 seconds in Glen Vista. In fact, he probably started there, and then his parents were like, "No, we have to keep him out of the school. It's so rough.
Wrap him in a cotton wool ball.
It's a terrible place."
Yeah, I probably would have. Yeah, you're very right. Yeah, that would have been my life. Yeah.
All right, so let's get cracking here. We got some sport to look at. What do you got?
Sport, as usual, we'll start in the football. South African football, we'll start with that one. Chipper United lost to Pirates 3-1. And Sundowns beat Stellenbosch 2-1 in the Nedbank Cup semis.
I saw a lot of noise about Sundowns over the weekend.
Yeah.
I paid no attention.
Another cup final for them coming up in the Nedbank Cup. Another place where there was a lot of noise this weekend was the Premier League. Arsenal beat Bournemouth 3-0. City beat Wolves 5-1.
Right.
And Liverpool finally won a game, which was cool. Yeah.
Nice for them.
I didn't come here.
People had forgotten they were a football team. Okay, well done.
Liverpool beat Spurs 4-2. The rest of the Premier League at the moment is looking very, very interesting as we do the final run-in for the league title. City are still in second with Arsenal just above them by 1 point. Okay. City have quite an easy run-in for the last couple of games. They've got Fulham, they've got Tottenham, and then they also play West Ham. Arsenal, their last few games are Man United and Everton. Also, 2 very tricky games for them. So, yeah, the final run-in for the Premier League title decider is happening. And it could even happen this coming weekend, which is very exciting. The rest of the Premier League, Aston Villa in at 4th, Tottenham in at 5th, Chelsea, their highest position of the season so far, in at 7th, and then just below them, Man United in at 8th. Moving on, sticking with the football, actually, I've got a fun fact thing that happened this weekend. So a German side, Bayer Leverkusen, who's managed by Xabi Alonso, they equaled a 59-year-old European record set by Benfica.
Yes.
Of 48 games undefeated in all competitions between December 1963 and February 1965. So a 59-year-old record has been broken. This past weekend, which is kind of crazy.
One of the kids at the school in Glen Vista almost broke a 59-year-old teacher. So.
In half.
Jesus. All right.
The world of...
You come from such a rough place, hey? Wow.
I hang my head in shame.
Wow, this is happening in our own...
It really was the posh school. I'm telling you now.
Please, Joburg is just reeling from the shock.
I promise it was a posh school.
No, it was not. It cannot have been. Sorry, James. I'm just a little stuck on this.
In the Formula One, surprise, surprise, again.
Surprise, surprise.
There you go.
Surprise.
Max Verstappen didn't win a Formula One race. Lando Norris won his first Formula One race.
People love Lando Norris.
Love
what
that
a name, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Love that for him.
Okay.
To the rugby, lastly, Singapore Sevens, the New Zealand men and women's team once again won both titles for the Sevens this weekend. When I was on the show a couple of weeks ago, also they had done the exact same thing at another sevens tournament. So that's kind of crazy. South Africa lost to Argentina in the quarterfinals, so no trophy for us there. Sticking with rugby, lastly, Investec Champions Cup, Leinster, they beat Northampton 2017. Toulouse, despite the name, beat the Harlequins 38-26.
Right.
And then in Ben's EPCR Challenge Cup.
Yeah, he couldn't stop talking about that on Friday.
That happened this weekend. Sharks, they played Claremont. They won 32-31. And Gloucester beat Benetton 40-23. The final will be on the 21st of May, if I'm not mistaken. Sharks and Gloucester.
Very good, James. Thank you.
That's the sport.
And that is Beyond the Scoreboard. That's our weekend sports wrap with Superbets and with James. And Superbet supports responsible gambling. Strictly no under 18s. Winners. No, when to stop. All right, so
best T's and C's ever.
Great. Okay, so South Africa's Responsible Gambling Foundation's toll-free counseling hotline is 0800 006 008. Very good.
I'm sorry.
Very, very good.
I'm reaching into my shoes.
What are you doing?
You know these secret socks that we wear.
Oh, do they keep rolling down?
They're basically in the arch of my foot.
So irritating.
So irritating. But also now, have you seen that the thing is, I don't know if it's for men as well, but if you're it's like, show me how to dress like a hot girl. What are the hot girls doing?
No, we don't have any of that.
And now the hot girls are wearing socks halfway up their calves. In fact, you walk down the aisles and you get like half calf socks.
Yes. I think like a lot of guys are suddenly wearing those at gym.
Yes, like long over your tights, halfway up your calf.
Yeah. I don't necessarily go with that.
No, but I'm wondering if it's a better solution than having my entire sock in the arch of my foot.
Well, I think you're too old to be going with a hot girl trend at the moment, but you know what? You do you. So Sango in the comments says, this is bizarre. He says, at my school, the teachers used to carry guns.
Oh.
Yes, sis. Where did he go to school?
Jeez.
Wow. Huh? Shark saved that bet of mine, lucky to win. There we go. Patrick, who's gambling. Good for you, Patrick. You can do that with super bets. And Andy says, we used to be so scared of our teachers. If you got into trouble at school, you got into trouble at home too.
Yeah.
I've had a teacher throw the board dust at me for getting an answer wrong.
I had the Bible thrown at me.
No, that's bad. But then we know where you went to school.
That was in primary school even.
Steampunk Coffee says, can you bring us some coffee? Yeah, you can. Sure you can.
Oh, tea for me, please. Yeah.
In the USA, we call those fuckboy socks.
Oh.
Okay. There we go. Now we know. Thanks, Michael. Very good.
Thanks, Mockle.
Okay, maybe Michael's also at Glen Vista.
Maybe Mockle.
Maybe he went there.
Hot boy, what they called?
Fuckboy socks.
Fuckboy socks.
I've never understood, and this has been a thing since we were at school, like the people who wear the tights with the shorts over the tights.
Okay, like long tights or...
Whether it's girls or guys.
You get like bicycle shorts.
Yeah, but they wear the long tights down to their ankles, and then they wear the like shorts.
Longish shorts.
Well, not even. They're like mid.
Not like poly shorts.
I don't know what they're called, but they look stupid.
Yeah.
That's my whole point. I don't know.
It's for a reason. But it's the same thing as I see people walking around in shopping centers on the weekend and they're wearing the T-shirt they got when they ran a marathon.
Listen, the people are dressing so badly. Have you been on a flight lately? You're on a plane. People are wearing tracksuit pants on planes now. And
it's loungewear.
Listen, I don't want to sound like some, pain in the ass stuck in, 2002. But the reality is, like, you're with other people. You're in public. And you look like you've just spent the whole day on the sofa at home watching TV, and you just decided to roll off of the sofa and into your car and then get on a flight to somewhere. Like Why are you even bothering with a bag? You could just wear that all weekend.
I mean, we do come from the era where we would dress up to go to the airport.
Well, I mean, obviously we're not coming from the era where people used to wear a suit and tie whenever they'd fly. But
no, not quite. But we dress
you
up
don't know
like
who
we were
you're gonna
going to
meet.
church.
You don't know who you're going to meet on a flight. You don't know who you're going to have to see at the airport. Listen,
You could go viral on a video.
you could. You could. Who knows? But just, don't wear tracksuit pants, not for...
But they do
Going out
make
in
the
public.
most sense for flying.
But you can't do that. And look, I understand if it's a long haul flight and you have them in your bag and you could change into them, but not. I have a problem with like tracksuit pants are not for that. I call them homeless wear.
Well, it's like the trend that started around COVID where people were wearing pajamas.
Not right.
They still are.
It's
You
not
still
right.
see people wearing gowns and slippers, fluffy gowns and slippers in the street.
Yeah, and those slippers, that is just you've given up on life. I thought Crocs were the sign that someone had given up.
Now
But-
they're the in thing.
No, it's
Now
not,
they're like freckle shoes.
No, Crocs. I can't argue with people anymore. It's become acceptable, but I do draw the line at slippers. So Vincent says, why wear the tights? Well, the shorts are there to cover the alpaca hoof,
Oh,
like a
the
camel toe. But an alpaca hoof. I don't know which one's worse. Yeah. Where were you flying, Gareth? Albania, says Slippery Pickle. No, this is inside of the country, Slippery Pickle. These are people who they're going to visit family or friends, or they're going on a business trip. Hope it's not a business trip. And they look like they're about to go doo-doos. They're about to climb into bed.
Suck their thumbs.
I'm telling you, it looks like pajamas. We're not talking about like well-fitted, nice, smart tracksuit
like
pants.
Gucci
No, we're talking like
loungewear.
baggy, like the
A
kind
hole
of,
in the bum.
the kind of clothes that alcoholics wear.
Bums.
When they're walking around with a half jack around their own house and they can't find more. Wandering around.
They scratch their beard.
That's what it looks like. Please, guys, come on. Someone's giving me such shit here. Hang on. Gareth, you're insane. You're being stuck up. If you're going to go down to Cape Town and run the two oceans, the only way to go is in a tracksuit. Well, if you're going down to Cape Town to run the two oceans,
There's something wrong with you.
you need your head read.
That's happening next month. Yes, we are
Is
in
it?
May. Yes, in June.
Ugh. Only the evil man runneth when nothing is chasing him. That comes from the Bible. You should know it. Terrible. All right, let's look at some other stuff that's going on. Leigh-Ann has got something interesting here for us. So apparently that very sexy cop who everyone was talking about, so Simpiwe told me about him and put a picture up of him.
Oh, did
He's
she?
He's in trouble for his viral uniform selfie. Tell us more.
Oh,
Go on.
I'm sorry. I'm just enjoying the photograph.
Go on.
When I saw the headline, I thought he's not going to be hot, right? But
He's a nice, good-looking dude.
he's a poser. He knows
Sure.
how to pose.
Well,
That's the thing.
how many cops? Most of our cops are so fat that they can't get bulletproof jackets big enough to fit them. So yes, I mean, by the South African police standards, he's a supermodel.
Yeah, I've put it in the drill till. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, okay, well done, Leigh-Ann.
But yes, he became an overnight sensation. His name,
Yes.
if you don't remember, is Devin Cox.
Oh, right.
Sorry, I stumbled on that word.
Yes, I knew you'd like that word. Go on. Cox, huh?
So Cox is his surname. Devin, his first.
Good.
This
So why is he in
sizzling
trouble?
selfie, because you're not allowed. Who knew? I suppose only if you were a cop you'd know, and you went to cop school. But you are not allowed to take any selfies of yourself, which is redundant. But any selfies in your police uniform.
Really?
Not allowed. So he apparently went to gym, got dressed, and put on his uniform, and then took these selfies and then put them onto social media. So he's being brought
Yes, if I looked
before
like that, though, I
disciplinary
would.
hearing.
Wouldn't you? If I looked like that, I'd also take a
I'd
gym
be
selfie
there
in
with
my
my
fucking
guns
uniform.
going, pew,
Yeah, you
pew.
better believe it. In fact, I'm thinking of hiring a police uniform just to see if it'll make me look better.
I mean, this is the best
It's the best ad for the police.
police
Like
ever.
The police should be thrilled. They should be giving this guy the Order of Mapungubwe or whatever the hell it is, and saying to him, thank you, the first person who's made us look good in years.
What's interesting is that his parents, Billy and Jane Cox.
Cox. What's their surname?
Cox. It sounds like the plural of cock.
Go on.
Anyway, they are retired police officers themselves.
Oh,
he
so it runs in the
apparently
family.
struggled for years to gain admission to the police force, which shows you that it goes, it's hard work. It's not just,
Sure.
But yes, you're not allowed to take photographs of anything showing your police weapons, your logos, your uniform, anything like that.
Wow,
So he's now
the
going
rules,
he's with the flying squad, by the way. And has received a summons to attend a disciplinary hearing for violating national SAPS instructions.
What a lot of nonsense. I'm telling you, the people of this country will not stand for this. The police are going to change their rules. JP says that rule is created by jealous, ugly people.
What is it? Chest out, stomach in.
Yeah, stomach in, chest out. Well, that was the whole point, right? I mean, Becky Taylor gave an explicit instruction to our cops. He's like, stomach in, chest out.
Yeah, I mean,
you must look good in the uniform. Remember,
he should be proud of this guy.
I think he should intervene. Minister Becky Taylor, this is your chance to actually stand up for something you put out there. We're waiting for you to stand up for it, all right? Go on. I see here someone says, how many cops post these pics online? But he's too sexy and said their wives and they suspended him. Yes, Sango, you must go back to school here, where those teachers had guns. That is the worst sentence I've ever seen constructed in my life. But I think what he's getting at is maybe the other cops saw him. Their wives saw him. They were like jealous.
Like jealous down. What is going on with that guy?
Exactly.
Why don't you look like him?
Anyway, I've seen so many thirst traps on Insta with chick cops wearing tight uniform. Yeah, I've seen that too. There are a lot of...
But that's probably not from South Africa.
And girls in pilot uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a lot of those. And then when we were in Italy, I remember all the girls who were on the trip with us, they're like, the cops, the carabinieri.
Ooh.
Right? They're like these
Sizzling.
Italian police. Yeah.
Ooh.
And they were like trying to pose with these cops. And sometimes
and also like firemen appear in calendars, don't they?
And they'll let you. So I don't know why our cops have this rule. Anyway, I mean, listen, how about let's get the cops doing their job. The last thing you need to worry about is some dude who's like looking good in a police uniform.
And you know why else they were upset?
Why?
The authorities.
Why?
Is because so many women said, I'm going to commit a crime so that he comes to my house.
Jesus. You girls cannot behave.
No, we can't keep it in.
Unbelievable. So they're invisible on the streets. I mean, everyone should see him on duty. That's Michelle. He's in trouble because he's hot. If you go to the internet, there's thousands of South African police people selfies, and nobody cares, says Mapelo. Yeah, exactly. No one cares about ugly people. Listen, nobody cares about us ugly people. They just don't care. If you're really good looking, wow. The internet is just it's a gold mine.
Can you imagine if he looked like your typical cop with a boop hanging over his...
No one would care. It would be passed over, ignored. We'd move on.org. Really. Give the guy his chance. Tele wearing the Amish hats should be illegal. Yeah, I agree. Those hats he wears sometimes he wears uniform with it. He doesn't he's not entitled to wear a uniform, by the way. He's a minister. Never been a policeman. Leigh-Ann, Two Oceans happens in April. Comrades in Durban.
Oh, sorry, I meant the Comrades.
You're not paying attention this morning, hey? I think that Glen Vista fight brought something out of you.
It's about running, though. People who run. I'm not...
Hey, listen, where's Hanan? Is he on? Or did you guys just forget about him? It's like we got 4 minutes to 7. I think we're going to have to leave it. That's very disappointing. There he is. Okay, wait. Dr. Hanan, come in. testing, 1, 2. How's it? Dr. Hanan, can you hear us? I can't hear him, guys. They said they tested the audio all weekend.
Oh.
No, if this is a disaster, I'm going to be very disappointed. I can't hear him. What do you mean I have to put both in? Jesus. All right. Hello? Hello? Doc, can you hear us? I still can't hear him. Put both in. What are you? I'm sorry. This is so unprofessional. What? It's on. I can hear nothing. I hear myself and Leigh-Ann. That's all I hear. Oh, this is Dr. Hanan. I know you've got limited time in your day, and then we mess you around like this. How disgraceful. They told me on Saturday, I got this message from James on Saturday. Oh, we finally figured out the audio. I'm like, that's great. That's wonderful news. And now we get here and we can't. Doc, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to have to leave it for this morning. We only got like 4 minutes left. We'll come back to you. We'll get him back. I promise you. A lot of people only come in for Hanan. So we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah. People are going to fall apart, you know.
How disappointing. You guys are going to get such shit from me after the show.
Oh, dear.
I'm coming with my broom. I'm coming with a broom. All right. Get ready. I'm coming at you.
Have you ever bought a broom from those broom guys?
For beating people?
No.
Oh, for a broom.
I thought about it the other day because I needed a broom.
Yeah.
Because my broom looks horrible. It needs to go in the bin.
Always support the street vendors first.
And I thought, and my immediate thought was, I need to go to a shop where I can buy a broom.
Dr. Hanan has just said to me now, fire the whole team. I could not agree more. How embarrassing. You guys have got some work to do. All right. So before I beat you, figure it out.
Oh, gosh.
I know there are probably employers and employees all over South Africa who wish they could just be honest with each other like I have just been with James.
They have to be so careful now with what you say.
I don't have to.
No.
What are they going to do?
Corporates.
Yeah, no, please.
When everything's been watched and everything's under the pen.
No. Yeah, I can still beat him.
Yeah, that's always been interesting for me, though. Is it?
Someone common sense says, "Do you need a new car, aka broom? Do you need a new broom to ride to work, for example?
Oh,
because you're a witch.
Because I'm a witch. You can do the witch laugh."
Hanan says, "Start from scratch. My 10-year-old niece will be able to manage the sound."
Is that really what he said?
Yes, he says so. This is our Dr. Hanan. Now, if he's not being gentle with him, why should I be?
Oh, my word.
No, it's true. I should keep a shambok in the studio, says Mapela. You know what? That is a good idea.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
A shambok?
Yeah.
No, man.
It's like a whip, isn't it?
It's a long black stick that tapers, made out of...
that you use for horses
usually
and
rubber.
cows.
No, you use it to beat people who are out of line.
Not like a sex thing.
No, it's not a sex thing. No. Funny, you know what came up in conversation the other day? Someone asked about Sexpo, which I don't even know if it's still going.
Who knows?
But do you remember when we went?
Oh, yeah, we went many times.
And there was that.
There was a thing.
I'm so upset. I'm so upset that you never rode that. Like, there was a rodeo deck. This huge big thing. And I tried to talk you and Mabale into riding it, and you just would not do it.
Why wouldn't we do it?
Well,
I mean,
of
we would
course
do
you
everything
wouldn't.
else.
No, well, and I mean, you had to hold on for dear life, and then this thing would
I don't
buck you off
I remember
like a bucking
there
bronco.
was an expo site that was just like all in black, and you could actually watch a bit of a strip show, not a strip show, but like pole dancing.
It was so bad.
There was Picasso who drew you with his penis.
I've still got that painting somewhere. Shambox made out of missing wheelie bins, apparently.
Oh,
Sure,
that must sting.
You see, Lemero says the real network is really devolving to Home Affairs standards. That should make you embarrassed. Yo. Leigh-Ann, Shambox are a bit limp. I don't know if you could use them for sexual purposes. You use them to beat your children, if I recall correctly, says Hermine.
I know. I was thinking of those floggers.
You've never seen a shambok?
No, I don't think in real life.
Wow.
But like on TV, maybe.
So taxi drivers often, as Sanele says, they put them in the front of the taxi to put the fear of God into the passengers, because you beat the passengers if they don't pay you with the shambok.
That's so bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of violence in this morning's show, hey? We started at 6 and we have not stopped talking about violence.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
It's horrific. Let's all calm down. All right, I'll start. There will be no beatings, producers.
Okay.
I will give you
Let me put
today,
my taser
you can
away.
take a breath. Okay, put your taser away. Everybody put their knuckle dusters and shit down. Guns. Let me just make sure my guns are on safety.
Wait, what's the difference between those? You get the ones that that you've got to hold up against a
It's
person,
like a cattle prod.
and then you get the one that shoots out wires.
Yes, no, I don't have that one. I used to have the cattle prod one.
Oh yeah.
And that was quite fun. Because you know when those guys come up to you at the robots and then they want to
Wash your windscreen or
and all you do is you just take it out and you and they move away.
oh my word.
You know, I never used it on anybody, but they move away. No, listen, our neighbor, this is horrific. Shut your face hole says our neighbor beat his wife with a shambok once in his garage and left the garage open for everyone to see. It was crazy. What kind of a neighborhood do you live in? Are you in Afghanistan?
Is it?
It's horrific.
It can't cause death though. Unlikely to cause death, right? It's not a deadly weapon.
Look, you could do some damage to people. I mean, but you've never seen one. I can't believe this.
No, we use knives and guns. I'm sorry, I don't know about these shambok things.
Very scary where Leigh-Ann has been. All right, we're going to take a quick break at 7:00. We will be back in just a moment or two. Don't go anywhere. The Real Network, The Gareth Cliff Show, and Leigh-Ann and I back in just a moment.
This week on the AutoTrader podcast.
Okay, I always say there are two types of motorcyclists in the world. Those who have fallen and those who are going to fall.
Okay.
Now, once you've fallen and you realize that the tar, or whatever else you fall on, is very, very unforgiving.
And hot.
And it removes bits of your anatomy.
Ouch.
You will begin wearing safety gear. There are a lot of guys that have not had the experience of falling yet, and they think they're invincible. We do see it within our community a lot. Guys wearing Crocs, shorts, and a tank top, and he's barreling down the freeway at 160. And you're like, when this guy falls, he's going to be missing quite a lot of skin.
Ouch. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
So you just woken up Sure, you missed a very aggressive, very hostile first hour of the show this morning.
My goodness.
People are cross.
You'd swear we'd been locked up in Rikers for 24 hours.
You'd swear we'd been to Glen Vista Har. What a rough place Leigh-Ann is from. Listen, people are, we've been talking about like schools and fights that break out at schools. And there was a video that went viral over the weekend. Jethro says you need a shambok in your left and a knobkerrie in your right hand. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sanela says if Dr. Hanan had been on, he would have calmed us down. And James should really get the brunt of this.
I don't know. He was inciting violence earlier.
That's true. There's a lot of incitement of violence. Actually, I'm worried this show is going to be banned by YouTube. So enjoy it while it lasts. All right. We got so much to talk about still this morning. I do want to avoid politics wherever possible because I'm so not interested in all the posturing around the election right now. And I know we've still got about 20 odd days to go. I can't wait for it to be over, really.
I'll be voting in Mpumalanga.
Why? Because you'll be on holiday then?
Yes.
But then you won't be able to vote in your provincial election. Only your...
No, you can. I've applied. You have to apply for it specifically.
Can you?
Yes.
And you've got documents?
I don't know. Again, my brother's organized this.
I don't... Leigh-Ann, you're so irresponsible. Like, you don't care. And then, you know what you're going to do? Like, 2 days after the election, I know what you're going to do. No, load shedding again. I can't believe this country. You're going to sit there and moan.
I said I would not go on holiday if I could not vote.
No need to get violent. I know where you went to school. What did you say?
I said I would not go on holiday unless I could vote. And so my brother organized it for the whole family. But in any case, I'm going to have to fly.
Poor brother of yours. That brother of yours he just has to do everything.
Everything.
In your family.
I know. I feel very.
The rest of you are
bad.
all you're all like a bunch of lummoxes. You just slow him down. You make his life a misery. This poor brother of yours, no wonder he needs to go on holiday all the time. Just get away from the rest of you. He's away for business.
He had to go and fire someone.
This parasitic family who's constantly on his back, forcing him to do all the work.
He had to fly to London to fire someone.
To fire someone? Ooh, that's fun. I'd love to fly somewhere, especially to fire somebody. Call me a tyrant. Psychopath. Go on. You know I'd love it. Hi. I flew in this morning. I'm exhausted. Can you see? Red eye flight. I came here to fire you.
Okay, bye.
Do you have? Can I ask? No questions. I've got to catch my next flight out.
I'm going to Russia to fly.
I'm going to Russia to hunt bears.
I was watching with my family for a second yesterday that baking show where it's called Is It Cake? We mentioned this.
Oh, you did tell me about it. No, it actually sounds good. Like I don't like cooking shows, but this sounds interesting because they make these hugely realistic. Yeah.
And then they send people into, so someone might need to make an apple. Someone might need to make an apple, a realistic looking apple. Someone
like the witch from Snow White.
Someone might need to make, and then they go and hide that apple in the supermarkets where it's just, you buy loose apples.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then someone comes along with a knife. Oh. And we're talking about violence this morning, and you get a stab-ometer or something. And they've got to stab the apple and see if they got the cake or not.
What a waste of good apples.
And cake.
And
the one guy opens up his challenge. He's from Russia.
Yeah.
His name's it's got no vowels. It's like Lil or something. And he opens up his challenge, and it's this pack of corn on a polystyrene, like when I say corn, millies.
Yeah.
He opens up this plastic, and it's millies. And as he brings it to his face, he sniffs it and he goes, smells like village.
A village. That's
I was
beautiful.
finished. So yesterday's saying at home, everything we ate, we opened it up and went,
oh, that's so great.
Smells like village. Imagine you were on a date and a man said that to you.
Oh, that's so great. Okay, so I don't want to do any politics this morning. I did see that Jacob Zuma's disciplinary hearing's been postponed. Who in South Africa is still waiting for the ANC to discipline Jacob Zuma? Who's expecting that to happen? Who's expecting him to take it seriously? Yeah, this is like something is so out of control here. The ANC has no. They can't get him in for a disciplinary hearing, even if they wanted to.
Yeah, but look how long it's taken to get Trump into court for Stormy
and
Daniels.
That's also that the horse has bolted everybody. Get on with it. Like, what kind of childishness is this? Honestly, so stupid. Apparently, speaking of flying somewhere to fire someone, Leigh-Ann says there was a flight from Frankfurt in Germany that was turned into a living hell by the passengers. What happened on this flight, Leigh-Ann?
Well,
the passengers, they were throwing up everywhere. They were vomiting violently.
So I do like the heading and subheading of the story.
Go on.
70 vomiting passengers turn Frankfurt flight into living hell.
Sounds great.
Subheading. Imagine being trapped in a puke tube.
Oh.
Miles above land with no way to escape.
So you mentioned these things that you watch on the internet and those TV shows of the realistic cakes and things. I am a regular subscriber to passenger shaming.
Yes.
Do you follow passenger shaming?
Is that an actual?
No, there's a. It's not a category. It's one account on Instagram that I follow,
yeah?
where they embarrass. Well, they hope to embarrass these disgusting people on flights who like take their shoes off and put their feet right next to the head of someone who's in the row in front.
You like look under your arm and you can see the other person's foot.
Yes, or they like fart in the plane and everyone has to hear it. Or they spread their stuff all over everyone else's space, food, and I think, look, flying is revolting.
Yeah.
I don't see it as being glamorous or exciting at all. I've never, ever enjoyed, especially in economy, never enjoyed being that close to other people.
And long hauls, the worst in the mornings.
It's disgusting. People don't, some people haven't washed. It's just very disappointing. And flight is it's like a big bus in the sky. There's nothing cool about it. These airlines really, you guys are trying your best, I'm sure, to make money. It's expensive. But the kind of people who you'd swear they all come from Glen Vista or something. It's violent, it's ugly, and now you've got vomiting people. Ugh. So I think this would be hell on earth.
All of these people, all
70 people,
70 of them, got the same stomach bug. They were flying from Mauritius, which is a little embarrassing for us.
No, we're not involved. Don't blame us. We're not involved. We have nothing to do with it.
Did they not get their food from us?
No.
Flight DE2315 from Mauritius to Frankfurt. They all had caught the same stomach bug. Ugh. And we know what happens.
You know what German people eat?
With like Mauritius.
Bockwurst and Knackwurst.
No, they've eaten in Mauritius. So they've all probably eaten at the same
Sago
hotel.
Pudding.
Oh gosh, who knows? And there were only obviously a couple of bathrooms available.
2. I mean, this is a huge plane. 2.
Yeah.
And now they're all throwing up.
But by the time this stomach bug set in, they were so close to Frankfurt that they had to just keep going. So they were all just queuing up. They were all just queuing up.
Imagine how the plane started to get that vomity smell after about the 4th person.
No, if I even hear a person heave, I run. I have to run away. It's my immediate reaction. Like once my mom got car sick and my brother gave her a plastic bag. I had to stop the car and run down the road a block because if I hear it, I will vomit. I would have been a nightmare on this. But no, they all had to just queue. They just spewed their lunch everywhere. Yes, it's been confirmed that the food would have originated in Mauritius. Condor has initiated an investigation into the case to get to the bottom of the cause.
It's disgusting.
It's
those people should never be allowed to fly again.
What? Because they got sick.
Yes,
Gareth.
Unacceptable. You hold it in. It's like you can't just.
Have you ever vomited in your life?
Not on a plane. Actually, you know what? I've probably vomited twice in my entire life.
That does not surprise me.
And both times it was in private and I didn't let anyone else know. And I brushed my teeth and washed my mouth out thoroughly afterwards.
Gosh, when I vomit, I've said it before. It sounds like I'm being raped by a goat. I have
Get me that James, I've changed my mind. Bring the shambok.
I have to have the bottom end over something because I can just explode. Like if you had to drive over a tube of toothpaste.
There could be a man watching this now who thought up to about 5 minutes ago, I'd really like to marry Leigh-Ann. She's the woman for me. And now, after that disgusting, atrocious description of what happens to you when you're just a little bit ill from maybe a bit of shellfish that's not 100%.
Oysters. I brought up whole oysters once.
That guy has just done a massive runner. No, look, I got to apologize to all the guys who were coming here this morning just to see if they could marry Leigh-Ann. They've all run for the hills.
I don't know. Maybe my honesty will still charm them.
No, not now. Not now. That description was appalling.
Oh, goodness me. So, yeah, I'm very glad that you vomit like a lady and wipe your mouth.
I have never, ever thrown up in front of anyone. Ever. I'd be too embarrassed. The embarrassment would kill me. I'd hold it in so long I'd die of that before I'd die of... Oh.
I had a friend.
What's wrong with you?
She had too much
you people who just vomit on planes and things. Have you got no shame?
I've actually never vomited in public. Come to think of it. Oh, I did once with it.
That took about 2 seconds. Oh, wait, I did once.
Have you ever had? No, you wouldn't have. Oh,
what?
I wish I had another friend.
Go. What else? What were you going to ask?
I had a tequila once, and it was one too many, and it's almost not vomiting, but it just came back up again. So it wasn't from the stomach.
First of all, what a terrible waste of tequila.
No, it was in the days when you only had like white or gold.
And it was
silver or gold.
It was mostly cane.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's happened. But
white
I've never
gold.
silver. Do you want silver or gold tequila? It certainly wasn't.
Well, we only had 2 kinds. I was invited to a tequila fest this weekend. I demurred. I said no, I wasn't. Yeah, I was going to go, and then I changed my mind. No, I decided not to. I'm going to go back onto the sober for a while thing and see how, because I liked it. I enjoyed that. I don't want to be boring. As I said the other day, worst part about it is how boring everyone else is, right?
Yes.
Sober people are fantastically bored by you when you're drunk, and I can honestly speak with
it's very true.
A lot of conviction on this. If you're the only sober person in a room, yes, it's the drunk people irritating. Lucky says, guys, I'm having breakfast. Stop with the vomit topic.
We're sorry.
I agree. Gareth sounds like King Charles, says Max Sony. We tried not to sound terribly much like him, but if you insist, I think he probably has thrown up.
Oh.
Wasn't there?
I mean, he's eaten all over the world. Surely he's
Lucky
had
asked us to stop with this subject. Let's just move on.
Mm.
I'm trying to work, listen to the show, and have breakfast, and you're here talking about your vomiting experience. All right, Lucky, we'll stop, I promise. This morning's show's hilarious, says Janet. The best way to start the week. Well, she's always been very lavatorial, our Janet. No.
Yes.
I could do the prologue to an Alien movie just from filming thrown up oysters.
Do you see? There are. Thank you. I have a friend.
Stop. Okay. The Facebook stream is a bit behind. That's why its subtitles are so perfect. The grammar is great, punctuation and everything. Oh, you watch with subtitles? That's interesting. Do you watch videos?
Can you not understand me?
Yes, your elocution is a little
off.
Well, maybe your timing is. Who knows? There's nothing worse than the delay.
Oh, yeah.
The only time I'll watch a movie with subtitles is if it's in a foreign language.
Oh, no, I always watch with subtitles.
You do?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm over trying to, because I'm also doing other things and I have ADHD. I can't just watch one thing.
That's the problem with you. You can't just...
It's the problem with me.
It's the problem with you. You can't just enjoy, a tequila, for example. You have to throw up as well.
So dramatic.
It's always like you always have to put on a show.
So extra.
Yeah, extra Leigh-Ann. Kings are famous for gorging themselves and vomiting to keep going.
Yes.
That's not true.
Oh, no, listen.
The Romans used to do that.
But no, and I have family who's done that before. Did I say that out loud?
No, there was, I think I mentioned this the other day. There was a king called Henry I who died of something called the surfeit of lampreys.
Yes, we spoke about
Yes.
that.
And that was because he ate
Surplus of.
too many eels.
Yes,
essentially.
that was it.
I've been sober for 2 years now. Lukosi wants some love for being sober for 2 years. Drunk people are extremely boring, the same way that I'm extremely boring to them. Yeah, you know what, Lukosi, you are spot on. So what I suggest is that we have an apartheid of sober people and drunk people. The drunk people all hang out with each other, then they won't judge.
You have to.
Then they
You
won't
have
judge,
to.
right?
But you know what the thing is?
And Lukosi, if you've been sober, I'll go and hang out with you, and you and I can be boring together, and the drunk people can watch us and go, look how boring, how boring this is.
I must tell you, I was going to tell you this last week.
What?
My colleague.
You waited all week. This
Yeah,
better be good.
I actually did. I thought about it in the shower.
This better be good.
My colleague his aunt has a parrot, right? His aunt got this parrot because somebody went to jail and could no longer have the parrot. And you know, these African greys
They
live
last
forever.
Yeah.
So this person was incarcerated and she took the parrot from him. But the person who was incarcerated was a drunk and a smoker. And so she records this parrot and sends the sound clips. I'll get you one.
Is it rude?
No, it's not rude. It's the coughing and vomiting.
Oh, so it
goes,
mimics. Please record it. We need it for the show.
I'll get it for you.
That's so great. So this parrot learned those sounds from its
Because
former owner,
apparently it was kept
who's
next
in
to
jail.
the bathroom.
who's in jail and who used to have a drinking and smoking problem.
Yes.
Wow, that's great.
How funny.
I would love everyone to have an African grey parrot. I wish they were so abundant and cheap that everyone had one. And it would just randomly start playing back very personal and private conversations that people were having in their house.
But imagine if
Yeah,
you were
I've never loved you.
if you were like a drug dealer or something.
Yeah, I hate the kids too.
Imagine being in the mafia and your parrot starts ratting you out.
Give him concrete shoes. Pull him in the river. Be great.
Oh, Lord.
On the show, says Mapelo, you use so many words like names of places and people that I like to see how they're written. That's why I turn on subtitles.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Will it come up immediately? Like if I say the Roggeboschtgeloof. How's that spelled?
I'm going to watch now with subtitles just to see what
Roggeboschtgeloof. I wonder how it's spelled.
See if you can get a screenshot of that. That would be fantastic. Okay. Apparently, my apartheid will be a problem. Listen, apartheid's it's not a great system.
Never been a good thing, really.
Didn't really work. But Carl says my apartheid will be a problem because the park benches for the drunks will be taken by sleeping people and there'll be fights.
Oh.
Yeah,
but the drunks will. How's that spelled?
Yeah, we're coming up with a lot of words that'll come up beautifully on subtitles this morning. I don't mind being sober, says Iron Megan. Her name is Iron Megan. Okay? I mean, either your parents are big Marvel and DC fans, or you're a hardcore bitch. But Iron Megan says,
I will not drink.
She goes, I don't mind being sober around drunk people. It's like watching toddlers trying to talk to each other. Iron Megan. Beautiful.
Wow.
All right. Well, I mean, listen, whatever you need. Hey, can Leigh-Ann remove her bottle from the table?
Oh, geez, sorry.
That's not even the comments. That was the producers.
Oh, that's sorry.
Just grab your shambok. Just go in there. Sort them out. We've learned this is acceptable on this show. Jethro says, my brother vomited out of the car window while driving on the highway. Wow. That's considerate.
Was he driving?
That's considerate for all the people behind you. Imagine you're just driving, minding your own business on the N1 Monday morning at this time.
No, it would dissipate surely. On the highway.
Jesus, what bird was that?
Jeez. Listen, no, I've just remembered I've been vomited on.
No. I thought we were moving on from
Sorry,
this.
just a quick one. You know that ride that you sit in? It was at Gold Reef City and it was called the Cocoa Pan, but now they've got them all over. Where it starts like this and then...
Yes, I love that thing.
Yeah. Well, as I was sitting here,
Your stomach goes right up into your throat.
I
It's
was here,
fantastic.
and as I was here, someone here vomited.
Oh, so it came. So
and
you
it went sploosh on all of us. Not great. Not great.
All right. Can you please not stop? I mean, stop.
Okay,
This
we've
vomit.
stopped. It's done.
All right. Okay, very good.
It's done.
I'm just blown away by the fact that we have someone who listens to us called Iron Megan. That's just the greatest.
Maybe she's been through a lot and she's now strong.
She's made of tough stuff, right? Okay, very good. Why don't we bring our guest in a little early? Here's his book. So take a look at this, Leigh-Ann. This is called Prescription Ice Cream, A Doctor's Journey to Discover What Matters. And it's by Dr. Alastair McAlpine, who tells me that he's just had a little boy, he and his wife. So that's going to be exciting to hear about.
Wow.
But I was a bit nervous to talk to him because it says on the back here that he has been a palliative pediatrician. Now, you know what palliative care is, right?
Yes,
That's
end of life care.
Right. And pediatrician means children.
Yes.
So I was like, oh no, we can't talk about dying children on a Monday morning. That's going to depress everybody. What a horrible topic. And I thought, and depress everyone and make them miserable on a Monday first thing. Ugh, who wants to do it? But then I suddenly thought, you know what? This guy's probably got some incredible stories of real heroism. You hear about these kids who, like, even though they have short lives, they get to have these amazing stories and dispense all kinds of thoughts that only honesty that children have can be brought about by. Plus, what a brave guy himself to have to deal with that day after day and maintain a positive outlook. I thought, listen, we could probably learn from him. So here he is. He's sitting right next to you, Leigh-Ann.
Yep. Oh, hello. Hi. Where did you come from?
From the side.
Nice to see you, Doc.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good. Well, I mean, the book is called Prescription Ice Cream, and you actually have a whole chapter on why ice cream is actually good. I don't know whether to take it terribly seriously or not.
This is the best book ever.
Just tell us about you and your career so far and how you got into this, because I've always wondered about why people choose to specialize in certain kinds of medicine. And palliative pediatrics, that's a tough choice. How did you get to that?
So I trained into my undergraduate at UCT, and I always knew from sort of internship that I wanted to go into pediatrics. I've always enjoyed working with children. Just, they're lots of fun, and always got a lot of meaning and joy from working with them. In the book, and you guys were talking about, a part of my own experience was while I was in medical school, I suffered from a terrible, debilitating bout of alcoholism. And really
at medical school?
At medical school, and actually was suspended because of that and had to go into rehab for a long period of time. And so I know what it's like to be in a mental institution. I know what it's like to be on the other end of a stethoscope. I know what it's like to have judgments against you and to sort of have prejudice. And it's one of the things in the book that I talk about, because in the medical career, in the medical system, mental health issues are rife, and we just don't talk about it. And so I came out of that really wanting to sort of to try to help people. I actually didn't want to go into palliative pediatrics. I wanted to go into infectious diseases, which is what I'm doing now. But by sort of a quirk of the universe, there were no posts. And so I had to bide my time.
You could get.
And I had been so touched by the palliative service who had helped me when I was in my training at Red Cross, and the amazing work they had done with one of my patients, or with a couple of my patients. And I was really inspired, because we're good at treating people. Medicine is good at fixing broken people, but we're really not good at helping people who are going to die and how to help them move on to the next plane. And I just felt really strongly like we do that really badly. Everything we do is geared towards, we need to fix you, we need to fix you, we need to fix you. And if we can't fix you, we failed, and we're just going to walk away. And the truth is, we can't fix everybody. That's just reality. And so for those who we can't fix, we're not very good at then saying, well, how can we help you so that the final stages of your life are not filled with pain and misery and suffering, they're filled with joy and meaning and hope. And that's really what inspired me watching the palliative pediatricians who I worked with. And I thought, that's something I feel really strongly about. I really feel like we don't do this very well, and we especially don't do it well with kids. We all want to run away and hide.
But it is. I mean, it's just such a hard business that I suppose a lot of these kids, they would have like leukemia, that kind of thing. It must be just devastating. I can only imagine how hard it would be to go to work if that's what you're faced with every day.
I thought that too. And then what happened was I was working with these kids and they didn't have the same heaviness I had. They weren't filled with this existential angst and doubt and, crushed by sadness. They were upbeat. They were happy. They were smiling. And so I said to them, how can this be? How is it that you guys who are facing mortality at such a young age are able to find such joy and meaning? And so that's what prompted actually my 5 minutes of fame, which is where I said to them, how do you guys find such happiness and joy? And they told me. And it wasn't brain surgery. It wasn't revolutionary stuff. It was basic stuff that we all know, but I think we forget.
So they taught you things.
Oh my goodness, they taught me everything. I'm such an imperfect vessel. I was in many respects a very wounded healer. From what I've said, I'd gone through a lot, and I was on my own journey. And I said to them, what makes you happy? And so I then created this is back in 2018, a thread based on what they had told me, and I tweeted it off at lunchtime. And, 48 hours, it had circled the globe, and I went viral and had my 5 minutes of fame. But what they said really touched a lot of people, and the lessons that they were able to impart really resonated with so many. And that's what sparked ultimately the idea for the book, which was, how is it that we find joy, happiness in such tragedy rather than all moping and feeling glum the whole time? Because certainly the kids didn't feel that way. And their message was not for us to feel that way. They had huge capacity for happiness and joy, and they could tell us how to find it.
You've already raised the tone of the show from like all the violence and vomiting and everything else.
We started off on a completely different note.
Yeah, we're very pleased that you're here, and I mean it's an inspiring thing to read. But what sort of things did these kids tell you? What kinds of things did you learn from them? I mean, you say that just generally their demeanor is happier and more upbeat, and it's contrary to what you would have expected for people who have only a short time to go. I suppose we're all just on a death sentence. It just depends how much time you have, right?
Exactly.
So you either accept that and make the most of what you've got, not necessarily knowing how long it is, or you sit and mope.
Correct. And moping doesn't serve anyone well, and moping is not the key to happiness, and the kids didn't mope. So first of all, I think, interestingly, none of them placed any emphasis and meaning on things like Facebook, on things like number of followers, on things like they wish they'd all watched more TV. What they really, really attached meaning to was family time and engaged family time. So time with their family where people are engaged and not sucked into their cell phones the whole time, which we're all guilty of, myself included. Actual quality one-on-one time with their families. Stories are massive, and in particular, hearing stories, reading stories. They just love stories. They love humor. They love farts. They love vomiting. The stuff that you've been talking about this morning.
Yes, the children
Kids are delighted by that kind of thing.
Now that you mention it, you've found out that was our strategy from the start. We're here to cheer up the kids.
Or that we are just still kids.
We're going to claim that we're noble, and our whole purpose this morning was just to cheer up the children. That's why we talked such nonsense for an entire hour and 15 minutes.
They love it.
Do you think
farting, pooping, weeing?
Oh, they love it. I've got a book that I need to read to my nephew called it's something about snot. And he's going through a snot thing at the moment. He thinks it's hilarious. But do you think that children perhaps haven't had the time to place value on life like adults have? When something's been going for so long and you think, what a pity if it had to stop now.
It's called sunken cost syndrome. No, really. It's like those people, and I don't understand this very, very well either. Perhaps there's something wrong with me. But there's people who will sit in a terrible movie, and because they've already sat for 15, 20, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, they're like, well, I've got to stay till the end now. I'm in too deep. I get up and leave. So maybe I have a closer and more similar attitude to kids who are like, I'm not going to waste time here.
Yeah.
That is exactly right.
And wasting time is being miserable and moping and feeling sorry for yourself. And maybe also because they've just come into the world, so everything's wonder. When you've got wonder and curiosity, you do want to keep going.
Yeah.
You should have written the book. You're absolutely right. I mean, I think that's the thing, is that they don't have, when you don't have much time, things, and I mean, as you say, we all don't have much time, but when you especially don't have much time, you cut through the BS, right? The things that are important are crystallized in your mind. And so they're very good at focusing on what really matters and what is a load of horse shit, quite frankly. And so much of being an adult, I think, is we get caught up in a lot of stuff that actually doesn't matter, and we forget. And I think why the thread resonated with people is not because it told anyone any great truth they'd never heard before. I think it reminded people of stuff they already know, but have maybe just forgotten in their day-to-day stuff. You don't need, it doesn't require some kind of guru to tell you that being with your family is important.
And you mentioned laughter just now, and I think that's such an important thing. I mean, there's that brilliant movie with Robin Williams, the name of which escapes me at the moment, where he's the doctor.
Patch Adams.
Patch Adams, thank you. He just dispenses laughter. And that, to me, was like, yes, though, now we're getting closer to the truth.
You know what I feel
thing.
like it's,
make the kids laugh.
We know for a fact that it reduces pain. It's and there's plenty of studies on this. It's almost like the pain receptor, there's pain and happiness, and they compete for the same receptor. And if you're making people laugh, the pain can't go in. And it's amazing how laughter and happiness reduce pain.
It's a lot of pressure on comedians, huh? So a lot of pressure. South Africa's comedians are like, whoa, we've got big work ahead of us.
So many people are waking up in pain. We've got to do something.
It's Monday morning.
But that's an interesting observation, that you think they might even, they might not be able to operate at the same time.
I mean, that's not like a big fancy scientific thing. It's just something I've observed. When people are laughing and they're happy, they certainly aren't in as much pain. And we know the corollary is true. We know that when people are sad and unhappy, that pain is worse. Physical pain is worse. And so, they loved laughter. They loved their pets. They love their pets, their cats, their dogs. They just love hanging out with animals, even, gray parrots. So that they loved hanging out. They loved going places like the beach, going even out just outside, sitting in the sun, on the grass. They love getting out and about, going to the aquarium, wherever it may be, just experiencing nature and experiencing outside. Absolutely love that.
It's that whole theory of our lives are in the wrong order. We should be looking forward to being a child when we're oldest.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, maybe one of the reasons that this also appealed to me and why I wanted to talk to you is because I used to be very involved with Reach for a Dream, and they used to do these amazing things for kids. And it's even more amazing that some of their dreams that they wanted to access, do, experience, live for, before they exited stage left were actually such simple things. Like, if I want a chocolate cake, or I want to go to the beach, or stuff that most of us take for granted. Watching a goldfish go round and round in a bowl. I mean, it's little simple things, simple pleasures that give people the greatest satisfaction. And if you are at the end of your tether and you're miserable and you're depressed and you're downcast and all that kind of thing, sometimes the smallest thing can make a massive difference.
There's a story in the book about two kids who just desperately wanted to go to the aquarium. And it was a real effort because they were on ventilators and things like that. So it wasn't simply a matter of chucking them in the car and going. You had to have nurses on standby. You had to have people who knew how to. So it was a real effort, but it was so worth it because the joy and wonder that they got from just getting out of their stuffy room and getting out and being amongst, the fish and all of the stuff, like, totally worth it. And again, we all know how amazing nature is. You don't need me to tell you, but we need to be reminded.
How's that? How about that time that you were visited by gangsters?
So going back to the book very quickly. So the book is in 3 parts, and the first part is about my internship at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital, which is it was for a while the biggest hospital in the world. I think it's third now.
It's
Over
still
3,000
an
beds.
incredibly curious place.
It's wild.
The
You have
stuff
to drive
that happens there.
to get to places within Bara.
And so the first part of the book is about what it's like to be a medical professional there. And that's when I was there quite early, we were visited by gangsters who were the family of an elderly guy who himself was quite a serious gangster. He was unwell. And what was incredible was how I had always felt like we were safe in the hospital, that, this was our place. And the truth was, the minute these guys walked in there, it was their place, and they dictated everything. And they just were like,
fix him all.
And it brought up a slightly interesting ethical question, because people are allowed to refuse medical treatments. That's part of being an adult. You're allowed to say, I don't want you to treat me anymore. Medical treatment is obviously optional. But you have to be in a proper state of mind to be able to make that call.
Right.
And this elderly gentleman was incredibly confused.
Okay.
And ordinarily would probably not have been in a state where he could have made the decision about his own health. He was quite unwell.
So who did?
So his family walked in there, these guys with guns, and demanded demanded that we release him. By the letter of the law, we should have refused. But when you're faced with two guys with guns who are not subtle about it, do you really want to stand up? Do you really push that and say, I'm dreadfully sorry, guys. Your father is not in a state where he can possibly leave this hospital.
So you let him go?
You let him go?
Yeah, I would have done that too, because then it's one less thing to worry about.
And I don't know whether that was right or not, but I don't know that I was willing to take 6 in the chest.
No,
for this guy. So
not worth it.
But that's the kind of thing that happens at Bara. It can be a very wild experience, and you can have these situations where no one in medical school prepared you for what do you do when gangsters enter your ward and demand to see you.
Is it harder being a doctor in palliative pediatrics or being a dad? because you did say to me earlier that you've just had your first kid, and the sleep deprivation is a real thing.
And I have a cousin who's a pediatric surgeon, and the diagnosis she does on her own son all the time. You can't help yourself. You can't separate being a mother or a father from being a doctor. Yeah,
my fiance, if he's we're both physicians, and if he sort of wakes up in a sweat, she'll be like, "He's got a fever. He's got a fever. Oh my gosh, let's take him to the hospital." And I'm like, "No. I think he's probably just warm in the room." It's weird. Being a parent and being a pediatrician are two very, very different things. No one prepared me for being a parent. I was very well prepared for how to treat sick children. I was totally unprepared for how to deal with a child who's not sleeping at night, or is refusing a bottle, or is throwing up every meal you give. So
you're jumping to the worst conclusions.
I felt well prepared to be a palliative pediatrician, and I feel completely unprepared to be a dad.
Isn't that scary though? Is that the whole world is made up of dads and moms?
What do you mean that's scary?
That that no one's prepared.
Everybody is.
No one's prepared.
Oh yeah, but that's part of the fun too. And I mean, you also have to think on your feet, even as a doctor. We always assume doctors know all the answers. Sometimes you have no idea, right? Sometimes you're like, oh God, I better go and ask some other people. I better go and look in my books. I better go and spend some time thinking about this. I must do more tests. Most doctors, they don't really know on the face of it exactly what's wrong.
100%.
And that's okay. We don't expect you to be gods.
And I think if there was sometimes more humility in our profession, that would go down better, because nobody knows everything. And it's totally fine to say.
Well, look how many of you doctors had the shit kicked out of you during COVID, because it turned out that even the people who supposedly knew what they were talking about were completely winging it. These are doctors.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was an embarrassing time, and a lot of credibility was shed, or maybe we just became realistic rather than,
maybe we realized that physicians aren't demigods. They're just flesh and blood, fallible, weak human beings like everybody.
And they do get it wrong sometimes.
100%.
You've got to really think carefully about whether you want a second opinion on things. And most doctors will say to you, you can go for a second opinion. I'm not going to be upset by you. There are a couple of them who are egomaniacs, I'm sure. But, a lot of them will say to you, look, I'm not entirely sure. Takes balls to say, I don't know.
Mm.
All right. So what's the hardest thing about being in this job that you're in? And now moving beyond the palliative pediatrics into infectious diseases, what's the hardest part of it, and what do you love the most?
I would say that the hardest part of it, and I don't know if this answers the question, is how medicine these days, like so many other jobs, is becoming more and more bureaucratic and more administrative. And so those of us who went into medicine with the idea that we wanted to hang around and treat patients now spend most of our days filling out forms, clicking screens, applying to insurance companies for drugs. And so it feels to me like, and this especially happens when you become more senior in your career, I want to hang out with my patients and I want to interact with patients, and everything else is pulling me away from that. And I get more and more sucked into what I find just the incredibly boring administrative side of things. And I think that a lot of people in various jobs feel that way. And so I just hate how the bureaucratization, I don't know if that's a word, has taken away from why so many of us, myself included, got into the job. I don't like filling out paperwork. So
then I'm going to infer that your favorite part is dealing with people.
By far, that's the best bit, to sit there and chat to people and hang out with them and try and make them feel better. You yourself said we don't always succeed in that, but primarily our job is to make them feel better. And when you have such limited time, you've got 30 minutes, and that 20 of those minutes is going to be spent clicking a computer screen or writing a thing. That means you got 10 minutes with your patient, which means how are you supposed to possibly grapple with what they're going through when you've got 10 minutes? You can't even begin to scratch the surface.
Well, look, there's some hypochondriacs who will, but most people, when they go to a doctor, they really just want to have a discussion about what's ailing them, and hopefully have the confidence that somebody who they're talking to is going to help them solve that problem. If most of the time that you are meant to be spending with them is spent doing forms and sitting in front of a laptop, then that's not what you're there for. It's a total waste of everyone's time.
And I think that feeds into why there has been a general decline in the trust of doctors, because people often feel like they're not heard.
Yeah, you feel like you're being overlooked when a doctor goes, yes, right, breathe in antibiotics.
And a friend of mine, I talk about it in the book, a friend of mine, she'd injured her knee and she was waiting to see the orthopedic surgeon, and she was sitting in the cubicle, and he came out from seeing his other patient, and he said, where's the knee?
Yeah.
And the nurse was a bit sick. So in other words, in his brain already, this patient and she had worried, she was a sportswoman. She was worried that she wouldn't be able to compete. So she had a whole bunch of anxieties and things she wanted to talk about her knee. When could she get back? And when she heard that, she just heard, oh, he sees me as a knee.
Number 426,332. Yeah.
But then, I don't know. It's like I was treated like that once by an orthopedic surgeon who said, you're depressed. And a year later, I had to have a hip replacement because it misdiagnosed me. So it's like,
wow,
that's
a hell of a misdiagnosis.
You're
depressed, hip replacement.
Yeah, because
a lot of distance between those.
Because he was a runner and an athlete. I was an overweight woman.
But he didn't listen properly.
He didn't listen properly.
He didn't listen properly. He didn't
give me an X-ray.
Properly.
Just said you're depressed and sent me out. And I had to have my bone cut off because it was sponge.
I'm really sorry about
that.
No, well, it's not your fault.
That's not your fault.
You had nothing to do with it. But
you doctors.
but ice cream. Okay, to go back to the title of the book. I mean, listen, everybody feels better with an ice cream, but it's an interesting title because I think it's symbolic of so many of the other cool things that people can do to make other people's lives a bit better. And this is really where doctors are at their best, is when they can. You walk out of there and you're like, oh, thank goodness, I'm not about to expire.
Yeah, but I mean, even on that, has a patient ever completely surprised you by you thought that they were going into palliative care and they made it out?
All the time. It's incredible.
Really?
How often, again, we get it wrong. You're like, and then this is one of the questions people always ask in palliative care is, how much time? That's what, and it is such a difficult question to answer. And people feel sometimes like we're dodging when we say like, I don't know, because we've had people who are like, today is the day. And then years later, they're trucking on, or we're like, oh, it's going to be a few weeks, I think.
Well, I mean, a friend of mine got some bad news about his dad, and he was telling me, like, he's not giving up. He's looking into all the different forms of treatment and what could be and couldn't be done. And he spoke to a woman over the weekend who, filled him up with hope that there is a chance. And really, that's like 3/4 of the work. If you can fill someone up with hope rather than despair,
absolutely,
that's what ice cream is.
There is a fine line, though. I will push back gently on that. In that, false hope is quite an awful thing. So don't give people hope if it's not realistic.
Yeah, like if they're flatlining, don't tell them there's still a chance.
I can cure your stage 4 cancer if you can't. That, because that's cruel. You're providing, and what you are then doing is taking away the focus. If the person truly has a limited amount of time left, they should be aware of that, and they should maximize that time, because people will say, I have a few months, it's really important I do the things I want to do, rather than I'm going to be fine. This is going to be fine. I'm going to take this random thing, and actually, I've got many years left. So I think for me, it's important that you always are realistic with people and truthful to the best of your knowledge, because you don't want to mislead them, and because then they're going to feel really upset if something happens. They can say, you said it was going to be fine, and it was not fine. Why did you say that? So it's a balance that you have to. You want to provide hope, you want to be optimistic, but you also don't want to mislead anyone. And with regards to to the ice cream, yes, it's a bit tongue in cheek, but first of all, kids love ice cream. They all love ice cream.
It's always in nice bright colors.
It's bright colors.
Or as my mum calls it, ice cream. I don't know where that comes from. She says things like that, like Sasor, or are you dating it today?
You know what's cool about ice cream is that you can have an ice cream by yourself, thinking about life.
Sure.
You can share an ice cream with a friend. You can share an ice cream with a group of people. You can share an ice cream while chatting. You can share an ice cream while just being quiet. There's something really uniquely kind of like, it's a little bit, I guess, if you are on that train about like having a beer, there's something unique about it in that you can share it. It's a shared and communal experience.
Yeah, it's also associated with emotion, right?
Yeah.
So you get we always go to this ice cream place, and I lived in a place where one existed along the beach, this ice cream shop that everyone goes to. It's like a destination place and everyone's happy. Or it could be I've been stood up on a date, I'm giving up on life, and I have my tub of ice cream and I'm sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah.
It's associated with so much emotion.
It really is. And the other thing, of course, is some of the kids who are on chemotherapy, they have these really painful lesions in their mouth, which is part of the side effect, and the ice cream and the cold and the sugar really soothes that. So I'm not advocating that everyone go and eat tubs of ice cream, because
you did. You said prescription.
But what I want to say is that the healing power of sort of something that, as you say, everybody or almost everybody really likes. It provides a lot of joy and happiness. And that's why ultimately I thought that was the right title for the book, because despite the fact that it deals with a lot of really heavy stuff, I hope I didn't write it with the intention of dragging people down. It's ultimately, I think, a book about hope and finding joy and happiness, even when things are looking pretty tough.
And a nice sponsorship by Sensodyne.
Exactly.
Tell me about the weird things that you saw at Baragwanath when you were working there, because that place is chaos. I mean, it's amazing because it's a miraculous place. But the things that happen there, doctors come from all over the world and they can't believe what you guys put up with.
It almost can't sort of. There's too many things to talk about. But I remember asking up and it's in the book, asking a patient to, one of the tests we do for tuberculosis is you have to hack up a little bit of the stuff in your lungs, and then we send it and we have a look to see if we can see the tuberculosis. And this gentleman was given a thing, and he coughed and he coughed and he coughed, and he coughed up a worm.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Yeah, exactly. We were all quite surprised. So he coughed up a worm, and the nurse took
magic.
And the nurse took one look and didn't miss a beat and just said, "What are we supposed to do with that? Test the worm for TB."
But what sort of worm was it?
So
like a garden variety?
In South Africa, we have a bunch of worms, and that's why we deworm children all the time. And so you get these long kind of almost look like earthworms. They're called ascaris.
Oh,
and they live
my God, it was in his lung?
No, it was, they do go to your lung and then you cough them out into your intestine. This is just great. I hope everyone's finished breakfast. And they tend to live in your just outside of your stomach. And sometimes you don't
feel them crawling?
No. Sometimes though, if there's too many of them, they form this big ball and then they obstruct your foods. So then you have to get rid of
We
them.
were talking about this last week. I remember
Everyone
growing
is
up.
welcome, by the way, for that.
That's lovely.
Description.
Breakfast is finished.
I remember growing up in the 80s. It was all about worms. They were in the pharmacy in bottles. All children were being dewormed. We weren't allowed near sandpits, and it seems to have diminished. Oh, am I wrong?
We just deworm everybody all the time. So children just get anti-deworming medication all the time.
So ironic. I took deworming tablets this week.
No, you didn't.
I swear to God. I swear I did.
Yeah.
I just decided, good idea. It's a course of 6 of them.
Yeah.
2 a day.
Yes, for 3 days.
Morning and evening.
Yeah.
There we go. See,
Not a
Leigh-Ann?
bad idea if you live in
So
Africa.
you still have them. I've got rid of mine.
Oh my God. I mean, Gareth thinks I'm a hypochondriac.
You are.
I'm not. I actually
Yes,
have
you
the
are.
thing. I just have a lot of things wrong with me.
we've had in the patients, we had in the hospital. It's so big, patients regularly get lost.
Yes.
They get shunted around to different wards, and I had a patient who got completely lost for 3 weeks. I didn't see him, and then I saw he turned up randomly in the ophthalmology ward.
Was he lost in the hospital for 3 weeks?
No, he knew where he was. He was very happy. He
didn't go home.
No, he was just chilling there getting his medication. No one was seeing
Good
him.
heavens.
And because the wards are so busy that people get rotated all the time. So they'll say, oh gosh, there's no space in the medical ward, so we're going to send you to there's space in ophthalmology.
Yeah.
And then ophthalmology's full. So they'll say, we'll send you to orthopedic ward. And so people get shunted around all the time. So patients get lost. Don't know where they turn up. Having said that, there's some really, really beautiful things that happen. And anyone who's worked in a public hospital, at 7 a.m. every morning, every single ward stops and everyone sings. The nurses sing, and they sing these beautiful hymns. And it sounds like professional choirs. And it's one of the most magic things when you're walking through Bara, which has all these different wards sort of
Sound like those
around.
terrible songs that they all sang during COVID. You know? They're all like, that was bad. This is just a thing that's always been a tradition at Baragwana.
And it's not just a Baragwana.
I've experienced it. It's amazing.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
They, generally driven by the nurses, and they will stop and they will sing beautifully like a professional choir, and they'll sing a hymn. It changes from day to day. They'll all stop. They'll take a moment. They'll quietly say the Lord's Prayer or whatever. And like, whether you're religious or not, it's just this moment where Bara stops and this beautiful singing comes through, and it's such a unique and kind of peaceful moment. And it's
I've experienced
amazing.
it as a patient,
Yeah.
and I woke up, and obviously I'd been woken up at 5 o'clock to take the medication and everything, but I'd fallen asleep again. And when they started, it changed my entire mindset for the day.
It's a really. I'm not a religious person, and I find them really quite beautiful.
Yeah.
Just this kind of almost like settling ourselves. So that, but going,
It's like everything's going to be okay. We're in control. This thing happens every day. It will happen, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's another thing about being a doctor, is that we have to remember also that the doctor is not an automaton, and it must get to you sometimes. And you must have had moments where you've had like an incredibly busy day. I know doctors too. Some of them work very long hours, and eventually you're like, go and sit somewhere when you have 5 minutes to breathe, and you just go, or you start bawling or something, because it's just too much, right? You're dealing with like life and death all the time. The stakes are supremely high. It's not like, I got the spreadsheet wrong, or
Yeah.
I miscalculated by 20 cents on
My
this.
post didn't get enough
Yeah,
likes.
I mean, come on. Am I right? Like sometimes
and
it just
I
happens.
think that's why burnout rates and stuff are so high, because it is constant pressure, constant, often constant sadness, because you remember, like everyone, we don't really remember the patients who do well. We carry with us the patients who didn't do well, who we perhaps made a mistake on because we're human beings, or who had a bad outcome. Those are the ones we carry with us, and it's really heavy. And I think it speaks to the fact why so many doctors are trying to get out. I think in the UK, 1 in 5 doctors is planning on leaving the profession in the next 5 years. 50% of them want to cut down their hours. Worldwide, we're really facing a crisis of people saying, I don't want to do this anymore. And again, there's plenty of books in South Africa, the doctor who walked away. Again, I'm hoping my book will convince people that medicine is a really worthwhile career, but stuff does need to change, because at the moment, I just think that we expect too much, and especially in a country like South Africa in the public sector, where doctors are often the public face of a failing system. And that's a huge, when waiting times are long and patients are upset, you're the one they shout at, but you're not responsible because the clinic there's too many people for your clinic. That's not your fault.
Do you think overall, is it a 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing? Is it progression slowly, or is it regressive?
No, I think that the way we train and treat physicians and look at healthcare personally, I think needs some quite serious overhaul. And it's not just in the South African context. Worldwide, there's a real problem. And if we keep going down, in my opinion, the path we're going down, I think we're going to face huge physician shortages, because I think people are just going to say,
not doing it.
The shit in my life.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take the opportunity to say thank you to all the doctors that do good work all across South Africa. And it's always a good idea to speak to one or two of them. And I'm thrilled about your book. It is called Prescription Ice Cream, A Doctor's Journey to Discover What Matters, by our guest this morning, Dr. Alastair McAlpine. It's very nice to see you here, Leigh-Ann. Someone says, if Leigh-Ann actually had everything that she thinks she did, she'd be dead.
It's a miracle I'm alive, because I have all those things.
You see? All right. Well, you're going to get some consultation time just after this with Dr. Alister. Thank you, everybody. That's it for us for today. We will see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Oh, no, wait. Big announcement.
Oh, yes.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. So what we've decided to do is we've decided to do Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So starting from this week, I know it's a bit of a shock to some people.
Sorry. I mean,
changing your life again.
8:01,
Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the show. We will still be doing a Burning Platform special on the podcast party on Thursdays. So you still get your 4 days a week, but the live show Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time. I've made the decision. What are you going to do? What do? You can't chain me to the chair. There we go.
Get over it. Have some ice cream.
Right. Now let me go and beat the producers. Have a happy day, everybody. We will see you on Wednesday.